Oh man, not the performance that we expected here tonight at the Stadium Series, but welcome on into PHLY Flyers post-game show presented by Mortgage CS. That is mortgagecs.com/PHLY now. Start your home buying process today. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. This is an advertisement, not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Again, company NMLS 1464766. Again, visit mortgagecs.com. Wow, I got to give props to Bill because that is a mouthful, but I want to welcome formally everyone again into PHLY Flyers postgame show. Listen, the Flyers fall today. I know we were all expecting a good game here, but unfortunately, you ran into the bright lights of MetLife Stadium and the Flyers fall 6-3. I'm joined today by the lovely Kelly Hinkle. Kelly, not what we thought, but how are we doing tonight?
It's 11:18 p.m. and I'm upright and conscious, so we are thriving, I would say.
Absolutely. I want to welcome everyone in the chat as well. We got a lot of people in the chat tuning on in. We're showing some love to Kelly. I love it. Got Hinks in the house. That's right. Everyone, throw in your comment section. We have the comments open here. Hit that like button. Subscribe as well. We'll be going through these as the night goes on. Charlie O'Connor, of course, will be in later. I wonder, where do you think Bill is right now, if you had to guess?
Bill, I would say, is having a post-game bev and cursing quietly under his breath Sam Emerson, is my guess.
Yeah, it was definitely tough.
Rough night for Sam.
Yeah, definitely a rough night for Sam. A rough night for everyone here. And so, Kelly, like going into this game, I was hoping that the Flyers would show out and show up because this was a great opportunity to Flyers under the bright lights. Primetime hockey, the Stadium Series. This was kind of like a playoff-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I was really curious to see how the Flyers would turn up here. Now, the first period didn't bode well here for the Flyers, but I thought overall they fought throughout the game, but that start of the game really did hurt the team. But in the end, it just unfortunately wasn't enough. What do you take away here from this game?
So the director of fun and games will always tell you that the Flyers have a very terrible habit of playing really well, and then once the spotlight is on them, once they get that Saturday afternoon game on national TV, once they're playing in a game like this outdoors on national television, they tend to kind of just completely fall apart as soon as everyone's looking at them. So another example of that tonight. I mean, they got 46 shots on net.
That's a lot.
They were peppering the Devils with shots. They had the puck for long stretches in this game. They didn't look no. They did look terrible, but also were doing things that should have led to goals, and they just weren't finishing. So it was a very frustrating loss for me.
Yeah, some of those bounces that we talked about before the game, obviously when you're playing in these outdoor environments, the puck is going to be wonky. It's going to bounce around.
The
and
ice was kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah, I can say that again. So we were kind of hoping that may have happened here tonight for the Flyers, but unfortunately they couldn't get those lucky bounces, and the Flyers, or the Devils, I should say, did get those. And it started off early when you had Batten got the ball, got the nice tip. And Nico Hischier, when the Flyers pinched down in the zone, Nico Hischier was able to get free on that breakaway. And that's how this all kind of started there. And, you know, when you get a goal that early in the game, it's really hard to bounce back from that. And you do give kudos to the Flyers because in the second period, they did bounce back. They did score 2 goals. Mm-hmm. But then the Devils also had a really strong game. And, I do want to kind of look at, Thursday we did go up against the Maple Leafs, and we saw how Austin Matthews was able to dismantle us in 7 minutes. Now, Nico Hischier didn't do that here tonight for the Devils, but you see, again, what a star-studded player on the other team, how that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, Nico Hischier is not Austin Matthews. He is not, Nathan McKinnon. He's not Connor McDavid. He's B tier as far as the NHL players go. And the Flyers should not have allowed him to score as easily as he did tonight. And Ersson, I think, I'm not going to say every goal that he let in tonight was a weak goal, but I'm going to say at least 3 of them he should have had. But this was just it was a weird game in that the Flyers got, like I said, a ton of chances, and they just weren't putting them away. Whereas the Devils didn't get nearly as many chances, but were putting all of them away. And that's kind of the problem, is you can, chances are good, expected goals are good, all of that stuff is nice, but you got to put the puck in the net at the end of the day. And the Flyers had a lot of opportunities to do that tonight and just didn't do it. And that's not on Sam Ersson. That's on the rest of the team.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was tough for Ayers for sure. A couple of those goals again, like it's just tough. I don't know what it is too, because like this is now back-to-back games where I see that the puck just go right by his glove too. So I think right now what it is, I mean, tonight, like I said, the way the Devils started off the game, it was kind of tough for the Flyers to bounce back from it. But Ersson right now, I mean, he just has to take it game by game, and that's just genuinely how I do feel about it. But with the rest of the team throughout this entire game, I mean, as far as like the forward plays, like obviously we did put up a lot of shots, but they just didn't feel like quality. And like some of the young players, like Morgan Frost, I thought he had a really strong game on Thursday.
Ooh.
Not so much here tonight.
Not great defensively tonight.
No, definitely not great here defensively tonight. I like Noah Cates. I talked to you before the game. We saw him on the wing here again. We've seen John Tortorella do that before, and I'm assuming Schwartz is putting him out there to see some offense from him. He finished with one of the lowest times on the ice as forwards here goes. And so that's definitely going to add up here as well.
Yeah, and I do want to, I think it's important to say, we're talking about Sam Ersson having this bad game. I don't think that any of us should be worried about Sam Ersson. I think
agree.
is the point I'm trying to make here. This kind of game happens in a bubble. Yes, it's a regular season game. Yes, it's a game that counts in the standings. Yes, it's a game that you got to show up and play in. But it happens in a bubble. And Sam Ersson's never played an outdoor game before. Quite a few of the Flyers have never played an outdoor game before. I have a feeling, just based on the way he looked, the way he was missing these saves, that he was really having trouble tracking the puck. The lights might have been a problem for him. The way the shadows are on the ice from all the overhead lights might have been a problem for him. I don't know, but I don't think it's like oh no, Sam Ersson is falling down. Like I think you kind of have to just like take this game. Everyone's got to just move on from it, erase it from the single brain cell that's being shared in the locker room, and keep it moving.
But like we talked about before too, with this current team right now and the way Torts and honestly Dan Brea set this team up, they have to play as a cohesive unit. And I don't feel like throughout the game that they did play like a cohesive unit. There was opportunities here for the Devils where, I mean, obviously, just look at the first goal. I mean, on a breakaway with Nico Hischier, puts it right through Sam Ersson's 5-hole. You also do have to help him out. But, yeah, you do want Ersson to make some of those big saves. And I completely understand that. But I'm right there with you. In the bright lights, this is the first taste of it as well. And, we have a lot of talk about playoffs and what can the Flyers do about the playoffs. It's the one thing that everyone does asking me. And I think that tonight was a good taste of it. Because you're under the bright lights. I mean, I think they finished with 76,000. I think I heard it at MetLife tonight. That's quite a lot of people. That's a lot of hockey fans watching you. So I think that was just a great test here for Sam Ersson. Is we're going to continuously analyze Sam to see if he will be, in fact, our goalie here going forward. But I think in this first test, I think it was a great experience for Sam, and that's how I will put it at that.
Yeah, and one of our commenters there in the chat said, stop making excuses for Ersson. And I think it's important as hockey fans. We talked about this a lot last season. There's a difference between excuses and reasons. And I don't know that the reason that Ersson looked like crap tonight is because of the conditions of this game. But I think that based off of the way we've seen him play for the rest of this season, I think it's fair to assume that it wasn't just he all of a sudden turned into a potato goaltender. Like, I don't think he's just bad.
Yeah.
So he had a bad game, sure. But I think that it's okay to think about what were the conditions that led to this bad game. It's not excuses when you're trying to find a reason for why this happened.
Yeah, but also too, like, and this is, I always talk about this. Like, I love Philly sports fan, but I think a lot of times we think of things like the NFL. Like, when you're looking at a goalie, you're not looking at one game like you're looking at a quarterback.
Eagles brain.
You're looking at a goalie through a set of performances. And so you're going to bunch this performance with a bunch of other ones. And so I think that when you're looking at Sam, you have to look at the sample size. And for right now, Sam has shown us that he's going to be a starting caliber goalie. Will he be the future one guy here, goalie one here for the Flyers? That's what we're going to try to figure out here going forward. But I did want to look real quick here at just the Flyers overall here tonight. I did not like the amount of penalties that we allowed as well. I thought that also hurt the team because
it was a problem,
especially like in the first period, 3 power plays.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to kill your momentum in there as well. And it's going to put extra pressure again on Sam. And even though, like, well, look, this power kill unit, like we talked about it, we'd rather see that than the power play.
Pretty good.
But you cannot continue putting yourselves in those type of situations.
It's not ideal. On the whole, the Flyers, I think
5 in total for the Devils, by the way.
Yeah, they played a pretty sloppy game tonight. I mean, they looked sloppy. The penalties were mostly kind of like lazy penalties, slashes, holdings, that kind of stuff. It was just a bad game. Like, I don't really know what else to say about it. It was a bad game start to finish. The Flyers, despite controlling play for large stretches, never really looked like they were in control, though. Like, they just looked messy the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, even like they got those 2 goals in the second period, and the Devils just somehow find a way to get the momentum back. And I get it. It is frustrating. I understand like the frustration of fans because like it's the Devils. Look, they are below us. I think like they were 7 points behind us. Now they're 5 points behind us. I'll have to check the standings in a second here, but this was a game that you're looking at it where, like, yes, the Devils are kind of comfortably sitting behind you, but you want to extend that lead against the New Jersey Devils, considering what's going to, we still have a lot of hockey left going forward.
And these are 4-point games, really.
Yeah, and the Metro, you know how tough it is playing in the Metro as well. So that was the importance here, but unfortunately, just the Devils handled the bright lights a little bit better.
They did. That's the thing, like, I keep talking myself in and out of this. I can't even say that the Devils were the better team tonight.
No, they're doing it crazy.
No, they were just really good at capitalizing on chances, and also Sam Erson's 5-hole was the size of a Mack truck. Like, it was just one of those games.
It is absolutely crazy. So our producer Tyler giving us now the tidbit here. Devils now have 5 points with 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
Shouts to our producer Tyler Zulli there with giving us that one here. But yeah, so obviously let me grab those standings here. But now, obviously now, this was an important game, like we mentioned, for the fact that you want to keep the Devils behind you. So
yeah.
Flyers now with 65 points, Devils with 60 points. Obviously the Hurricanes with 67, and the Rangers on top of that with 73. So a lot of hockey left to play, but those are kind of what the standings are. And now that we're getting closer to playoff, all these Metro games are going to become even more important as well. The Devils are one of those, as K-Red letting us know, the Devils are one of those franchise I hate so thoroughly, and I hope they fold. All right, so let's talk about some of the fun stuff here.
Yeah.
So to start it off, right, guys are coming off the bus. You're probably expecting, suits and ties. No. The Flyers come off the bus looking like Rocky and Rocky 1, getting ready to fight Apollo Creed. And then you got the Devils coming off the bus looking like they're ready to go in a meeting with Tony Soprano.
Hey. They were doing this when they scored goals. It was actually quite funny. I mean, you got to give it to them. It was funny, yeah.
Unfortunately, Sopranos wins tonight.
I mean, if you think about it, Tony Soprano probably beats Rocky every time, just because Tony Soprano would bring weapons. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how you feel about these outdoor games. I have kind of a mixed feeling about them. I simultaneously think that there are entirely too many of them, and also every time they happen, I absolutely love them. The spectacle is fun. It's so cool having, nearly 80,000 people in the same building watching a hockey game. The little fun things that they do, like the dressing up, Like, I don't even remember. I was trying to think about when that started, what team started that, but that's a thing now. Like, every outdoor game, the team comes off the bus wearing some kind of weird theme outfit, and that's fun.
Yeah, it's just some personality.
We talk a lot about how hockey players never get to show their personality, and this is one of those rare chances where you get to see them acting goofy. So that's fun. I don't know. How did you feel about this particular outdoor game as far as outdoor games go?
It was confusing. The fact that the Devils had like the band every time they scored a goal.
Yeah.
So our producer Todd and I were talking about it. Like just having a band stand by every time there's a goal, like that's got to be
Was
exhausting.
it the Gaslight Anthem? Yeah.
What do you got there,
Yeah,
Todd?
so what do you do? Like, you just are standing around for 20 minutes of
Waiting.
hockey? Like,
Yeah.
it's not 20 minutes of life. It's 20
No.
It's 20 hockey minutes. We're talking about, 45
40
to an
minutes,
hour.
yeah. Tonight, at least 45.
This was a brutally long game. So,
Yeah.
like, you're just standing around. You're like, oh, go, let's go. Get the guitars ready.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was kind of weird. Also, the guys calling the game.
A lot of
when
criticism.
they decided to call the game, it was just like, as someone who's watched hockey for a long time, I don't really need them to be calling the game for me to follow what's happening. But if I'm watching on television, I would like the game to be called. Like, I don't want to see Nick Seeler score a goal and them have to like interrupt someone talking about New Jersey so they could be like, oh, hey, by the way, Nick Seeler scored a goal. I don't need to hear from Gary Bettman during play. Like, why can't we do these things during intermission or stoppages? It was just very distracting. I don't know why ABC and ESPN made that choice as far as broadcasts go, because if you are a casual fan, if you're someone who doesn't watch a lot of hockey and you're tuning into this for the spectacle, you're not going to know what's going on. Like, you're not going to have any idea what's happening because for 15 of the 20 minutes of the period, they're talking about other things. And I just think that's kind of a poor choice for the broadcast team. And I found it distracting, and I didn't really like it. I'll be interested to see if tomorrow is the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, ESPN's had its fair share of criticisms, as it probably should with the hockey broadcasting. But for this one, no, your point is correct. Like, it's too saturated. Like, it's hard.
A lot of them.
It's hard to get excited for these. Like now it's Winter Classic. Then you have your Stadium Series. So like I think it just should stick to like a Winter Classic, one game. We all kind of look. Maybe like even I do like the Grey Cup over in Canada, and then
That's fun.
And then you keep the Winter Classic here in the U.S. One Canada, one U.S.
Grey Cup is the CFL championship.
Oh my God.
Heritage Classic.
Heritage Classic.
I was
I'll
going
confuse
to say, JP out here watching the CFL? All right.
I know.
Locked
PHLY
into those
Riders.
Toronto Argonauts. Big fan.
That'd be a lot of fun. But so I think that they should just keep it like that. But it gets too saturated. It's hard to keep up, and the excitement just dies as well.
Yeah, I've had a long-standing opinion that I don't think a lot of people agree with me about, that the NHL had the opportunity when they started the Winter Classic to like plant their flag on New Year's Day and absolutely own the day. Make that big spectacle appointment television for a lot of people. And instead they decided that they were too scared of college football, and sometimes we're going to play it on the second. And like, it's just like, they futzed around too much with it, and they missed an opportunity, I think, to make it a real big deal, and doing it in cool places. Like when the Flyers played in Tahoe, that was sick.
That was pretty cool.
That kind of thing, rather than in a boring football stadium every time. Like, they could have done something special with the outdoor games. And now, while they're still fun, they are kind of very contained to the local market. Even the Winter Classic, I feel, is really just like for those two teams at this point. And the Stadium Series is fun for sure. And I'm sure that the Devils fans that went to this game had a lot of fun. I'm not sure the Flyers fans did. But it's just like, too much of a good thing sometimes is too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing that may be too much that you will be enjoying, though, is our dear sponsor here today. Talk about local love, where we're talking about Bagels & Co., ladies and gentlemen. Brooklyn-style bagels, but it is made with that Philly love, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, that's what we're talking about, these huge bagels. Of course, right now with inflation, we talk about food prices all the time here at PHLY, but with Bagels & Co., you're getting a great portion at a cheap price. And that's something you can't beat here today. Large variety of bagels, 15 to 20 different types to choose from. And the best part is they always got you hooked up with the holidays. We just went through Valentine's Day. We're about to St. Patty's Day. They always get you hooked up with the great themes that they have, especially with their large cream cheese variety, 30 different types of cream cheeses and schmears. You cannot go wrong. And of course, right now, you can find your local Bagels & Co. Head on over to the website right now, thebagelsandco.com/store locator, and you can find your local Bagels & Co. here in the Philly area right now. Again, that is www.thebagelsandco.com/store locator, and find your local Bagels & Co. by you right now. Thank you to our dear sponsors, Bagels & Co. And when you go to Bagels & Co., let them know that it is pork roll and not Taylor ham.
There's 2 Bagels & Co. walking distance from my condo, so it's dangerous. It's a
Can
problem.
you attest how good it is?
Oh, they're great.
There you go.
They have truffle cream cheese. It's sick in there. You can
you
make so
serious?
many combinations. Yeah, it's good.
Oh my
They
God.
had a Doritos bagel the last time I went.
Yeah, Bill likes to bring that one up, the Doritos bagel. We're gonna have to try that
wild.
bad boy there. That should be a lot of fun trying that one there. But let's talk about some more fun stuff with the stadium series. Did you know New Jersey was known for parks, Kelly?
Okay. All right, listen. I know it's the Garden State. There's a lot of trees in New Jersey, a lot of farms. Never in my life, living here in the Philadelphia Metroplex, have I heard someone say, you know about those New Jersey parks. Like, there's parks everywhere?
Yeah, there's parks
But
everywhere.
apparently the parks are such a big deal that they made a park and staffed it with people who were like riding bikes and pushing strollers. It was very strange. It was another weird choice for this broadcast. That was just like, was there nothing else in New Jersey we could highlight? It was like, hey, look at these parks.
Food, we got the music down, but the food,
The beach would have made more sense.
beaches, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the beach culture in general itself,
People love the Jersey Shore.
absolutely.
They had a whole show.
It was
People forget that.
it was pretty damn popular as well. Also, can we retire Tommy DeVito too? I thought that one was.
I don't know who that guy is, but I was instantly annoyed by him. Is he a football player?
So Tommy DeVito, I call
like
him a
him.
one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Had a spark of a moment with the Giants, an Italian American from right around the corner in Jersey, and so he's now a Jersey hero. He's a folklore.
Does he still play for the team?
I guess, does he still have a job technically, Tyler?
Yeah, he's still on the team.
Is he
He's
back
not
up?
that good.
Lives with his mom still.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's such an Italian boy thing to do. Live with your mom until you get a wife to cook your food for you. No offense.
Yeah, I mean that's so
Parody.
That is so terrible there.
Yeah, but JP's right. He had a spark in the sun. Played like 2 really, not even really good games. Played 2 nice games for a guy who was undrafted, and then fell apart. And there's this whole Sopranos,
Good for him.
Tommy Cutlets thing happening now.
Everyone loves a cutlet.
Everyone does love a cutlet there. Obi-Wan letting us the Pine Barrens, baby, go visit it. All right, well that's not
Yeah, the Pine Barrens rule, but that's not a park.
that's not really the park we were all
I mean, I guess it's a
envisioning.
state park, but like the park in the stadium was very clearly not meant to evoke state parks. It was like Washington Square Park. Like it was like a park, which again, okay. I didn't know that was a New Jersey thing, but here we are.
So, all right. So this is now what, the 4th or 5th outdoor game we've played in Flyers history.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, which one was the favorite atmosphere for you? Obviously, I don't know if you've been to every one of those games, but you
Not
obviously seen
everyone.
them. But what was the best atmosphere for you?
So I mean, it's hard not to point to the one that they actually won. The one single time they won an outdoor game, when Claude Giroux, as was his way, put the team on his back and willed them to victory against the Penguins, which was outstanding, very fun to watch. I wasn't at that game; it was really fun to watch on television. The first Winter Classic at Fenway, I got to go to that. That was fun as hell, and that was back when it was still like a special thing. There was just the Winter Classic and the Heritage Classic, so it was just the one game, that was going to be outdoors, and that was fun as hell. But the Flyers are just historically so bad in these games that it's hard to look forward to them hockey-wise. Spectacle-wise, sure. But like at this point, if you're a Flyers fan, you're probably just expecting them not to win the game.
And the last one was not fun. Lake Tahoe one was not fun at all. That was when we had COVID.
It was beautiful.
Well, yes, the atmosphere was beautiful. The game itself was just not fun.
Because the Flyers were forced to play it.
Yeah,
they didn't want to play it because half the team was out with COVID. They had, what's his name, Mark Friedman playing forward. Like, that game was a disaster. It was a mess hockey-wise. I can't believe they made them play that game. But, you know, if you look at a picture of it, it's quite lovely.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It would have been nice if we would have had more players for that one.
An NHL roster would have been great. Wonderful.
And, of course, it had to be against none else than the Boston Bruins.
Of course. Everyone's favorite.
Jace letting us know that 2019 for sure was his favorite. It was cool. I saw pictures here today. It was cool because it was the two PA teams. And so I liked that they had like the outlining of like the Keystone logo.
Yeah.
Orange and
that was cool.
And the yellow. Obviously, we saw Gritty streaking part 2 tonight.
Yo, Gritty was on tonight.
He was.
Gritty had signs for the Jonas Brothers. I don't know if you saw him. He flashed the Jonas Brothers at one point, which was outstanding. He socked someone directly in the face with a cake, as is his way. Yeah, I mean, the Flyers might not have been there performing, but Gritty was, as usual, top notch Gritty performance.
Always.
Yeah.
So Tyler, our producer Tyler, giving us another fun one here. So if Ohio State gets, by the way, they announced it. It seemed like in the middle of the game here, Gary Bettman hinted at it.
In the middle of the dang game. While the game was happening. And Gary Bettman's telling us about all right.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks,
we
Gary.
appreciate that. So we get the Ohio State Stadium Series. We're going to get the Columbus Blue Jackets versus Detroit Red Wings. So Tyler wants to know, so if that's the case, when are we going to get Flyers and Penguins at Beaver Stadium?
Okay, so first of all, as someone who doesn't do other sports ever, that is cool because Ohio, Michigan,
yes.
That's a thing.
Yes.
In football?
Big rivalry.
Okay. It's my understanding that getting in and out of Beaver Stadium is a giant pain in the ass. Is
Absolute nightmare. It's one road in and one road out.
Okay, so that sounds terrible for everyone. That said, I guess it would be cool because that place holds like what, like 100,000 people?
Like 100 plus, right, Tyler? Like 100 plus thousand?
Yeah, it's 108, I believe.
Ooh.
But the thing is, what if you don't fill it? Like, what if there's only like 75,000 people? Yeah. I mean, it would be neat, but it sounds logistically like it would be a miserable experience for anyone actually attending the game.
I do want to ask Charlie when he comes on, you know, just kind of
Charlie.
like the views from this. Obviously, he's in the press box.
I would like to know the vibe at the game in the press box, how the experience was.
So my plan for the longest time, I always had this idea that I always wanted a Stadium Series Winter Classic in Atlantic City on the beach.
Okay.
Devils, Flyers. Mm-hmm. I feel like you could have created some type of rink out there. It would have just been a cool experience.
I mean, they've played in warm places before. The ice is ass. It seems like no matter if it's cold or warm. So I don't really think that matters.
That's always the tough part. I mean, we had some weird bounces here. So I think Owen Tippett in the second intermission coming off the ice, they asked
We
him
haven't talked about Owen Tippett.
Owen Tippett was...
Dude, Owen Tippett is like very quickly becoming one of my favorite Flyers in a very long time. And it's just like he puts himself in the right place. They leave him wide open in the slot twice, which is hilarious. But like he gets the puck and he waits a second and he sets up his shot and then he just picks a corner. And it's like, it's beautiful. I'm obsessed with him.
We're going to have to find out, did he get the Travis Konechny stick back?
I don't think he did. I think he's still using his. Maybe he's just...
Why,
it's coming
Owen?
on.
Why?
Yeah, he should just go back to using Konechny sticks. That was working really well for him.
Is confidence this year something that I've noticed? And, you know, when he came here from Florida, the one thing that I heard was that he just needed to go somewhere that just trusted him and gave him an opportunity.
Yeah, he never got a chance in Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
And seems like he's getting that here. And obviously Torts is going to work. And he seems like he's reciprocated very well. Mm-hmm. And now that he's got that confidence, he seems like he's had the skill. It's all coming together. Both goals here tonight came from a similar spot. But that shot is
his shot is
nasty.
Just unbelievable. It's so good. And the Flyers have not had someone with a shot like that in a while. So it's very fun to watch.
Absolutely. And of course, Nick Seeler got on the board here as we got Obi-Wan saying he stole his heart.
I have a feeling we're going to be watching Nick Steeler for a while. I get the the re-signing vibe, I think, is very strong. I think so.
That's so interesting. It's not one that I would predict them to do. It doesn't make sense to me.
I think the organization is fucking obsessed with him. He fought Nick DeLaurier one time. Did you know that?
That's what I hear. It's weird how when they fall in love with some of these players. Like Torts fall in love with DeLaurier. We'll talk about here as well too. But the way they fall in love with some of these players is just very interesting. How they just fall in these romances with some of these guys.
Yeah, that's always the ones you can predict too. They have a type. The Flyers have a type, and it's Nick Seeler. Nick DeLaurier actually, I thought, looked pretty okay tonight. It was one of his better games, I think. He wasn't a complete liability. He had a couple of, for Nick DeLaurier, scoring chances. Like he was up there near the net at points. There were a couple of times where I think we were watching and we were like, if that was anyone but Nick DeLaurier, that probably would have been a goal. But he's not been. I feel like with him, the best that you can hope for is like neutral, like not a liability, and maybe, you know, a couple of positive things in a game. And I think that's what we saw from him tonight. I didn't think he was bad at all. Would I have preferred Lixell? I don't know, maybe. Would it have made a difference? Probably not. But yeah, I can't hate Nick DeLaurier today. He did all right.
He was going to bring the physicality.
Yeah.
He's always going to be that enforcer here. It was interesting to see 11-7 for the stadium series. I don't know if I figured they would go just once, maybe go 12-6, but I get why they would go here with the 11-7 for this one. But
Forster being out makes it hard.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I was interested. It's, you know what I'm happy about, Kelly, is that no matter what decade we're in, these Flyers and Devils play, doesn't matter who's suiting up, they get the rivalry.
Yeah.
And it's continued on. I love seeing like Brennan Smith going at it with Garnet Hathaway, continuing on from the last game. Same thing with TK and Brennan Smith. Like these guys just get it. And you saw some more. You saw TK and TK slashing at Brennan Smith's cap.
I liked it.
I love that it continues on through the 2020s.
It's great. It's great because it's been a few years since I feel like as Flyers fans we've been able to like feel a rivalry with another team because the Flyers have been so bad. Like it's really hard to like hate another team with any kind of real passion when your team is just like terrible and like losing because they suck and aren't playing well. Like so it's hard to like get up for a Penguins game when you know the Penguins are going to win because the Flyers are completely ass. But the Flyers getting better now and being ahead of some of these teams in the standings. You know, they're chasing us right now. Like, it's going to be a race to the finish with some of these teams in the Metro. And that makes things so much more fun. And it's so nice to be able to get back into, like, actively hating the Devils. Which for a long time, it was just like, whatever, because they were so good and the Flyers were so bad. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't summon any feelings for this. But now it's like, yes, we're going to keep these guys out of the playoffs. Fuck this team. Or Tambrador sucks.
Yes.
Never forget.
Doesn't help, too. And I thought they were going to bring it up for some weird reason. But they obviously, Nico Hischier, we all know what draft he comes from. And for all of us Flyers fans, it's such a dark,
the cursed draft.
The dark year of 2017. I thought that they would bring that up. But just like, was it David said in the comment, David Brown said in the comment section, we could say that these Flyers Devils games aren't boring because they have not.
That's true.
Both games this year, early on before this one, in OT.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Bill always used to joke about how the worst possible game is like Devils Flyers on a Tuesday because you know it's going to be a snore fest, and they have not been boring. No. Not at all.
No. I mean, this game, I didn't feel it was too entertaining, though, unfortunately.
Only because the Flyers, I feel like you very quickly realized that it was going to be one of those nights for the Flyers. That they weren't going to be finishing their chances, they weren't going to be getting any bounces, that Ersson didn't have his game. Like you like very quickly it was like, all right, I guess it's going to be one of these nights. And I think that when that happens early, it's hard to like find the game exciting.
Yeah, no. And there was like a lot of moments of sloppiness, and obviously the Devils were able to find moments to capitalize on the Flyers, but unfortunately there was just way too many sloppy moments here. But one thing I do want to talk to you guys about is one of our dear friends and our dear sponsors over at Rocket Money, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have so many subscriptions and you may have not remembered that, hey, I think I have a subscription to Paramount Plus? Well, with Rocket Money, they are a finance manager and they are super simple to use. And you can download the free app that is the Rocket Money app. It is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. We can all use that today, can't we? Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members of an average of $720 a year with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. So stop wasting your money now and cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY. Again, that is rocketmoney.com/PHLY. It's very useful here today, ladies and gentlemen. You'd be surprised, as Bill would point at the camera here. You'd be very surprised the amount of subscriptions people do have these days. And so having Rocket Money being a finance app that can manage all that stuff is very helpful in today's day and age because we're all trying to save that money.
I didn't realize, JP, that I was spending $9.99 a month on Dash Pass because I thought it was free with my credit card. Turns out it was only free for a year.
There you go.
Rocket Money could have saved me $10 a month over and over again up until like 2 days ago when I finally realized it was happening. So, yeah, Rocket Money, use it.
Rocket Money, guys, make sure you use that. And of course, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that you have all been waiting for, please welcome on in the #1 hockey writer in Philadelphia, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, how we doing over there in MetLife?
Hey, doing okay? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, you sound crystal clear. So, Charlie, we'll start off here. Let's talk about the ice here. So, for a lot of Flyers fans looking forward to this game, they were looking at this game kind of a moment where the Flyers are going to be under the bright lights, a pressure-like situation, and unfortunately they fall here 6-3. What did you think as far as the Flyers taking on a big moment here in the bright lights of MetLife Stadium?
Well, obviously they didn't come through the way they wanted to. You want to come out with a win. This was a big game. You could make the case that this was the biggest game to this point of the season, even setting aside the fact that it was an outdoor game. Just the fact that this was an opportunity for them to not completely knock the Devils out of playoff contention, but certainly create serious distance between them and the Devils, a team that going into the season was expected to be significantly better than the Flyers. And this was an opportunity for them to, maybe put them in the rearview mirror a little bit. Now they're only up 5 points. The Devils have 2 games in hand. And suddenly the Devils, if they get on a little run over these next couple of weeks, could be right there with the Flyers. So this was an opportunity, and it was a missed opportunity. They had the chance, and they didn't pull it off. That said, I didn't think they played terribly in this game. It wasn't as if they just didn't show up. I've seen the Philadelphia Flyers over the last 3-4 years have many a game where they're just not engaged. They're not there. That wasn't this game. I felt like they had energy. They took a ton of shot attempts, got a ton of shots on goal. It just didn't work out for them. And John Tortorella more or less said, and I agree with him after the game, he more or less said that they just made uncharacteristic mistakes. He pointed to the penalties they took, especially in the second period, when it looked like they were turning the momentum of the game. Totally agree with that. Travis Konechny, as much as I understand why he was frustrated with Brendan Smith during that sequence, like, you can't take that retaliatory penalty right there. You just can't do it. It's the worst possible time. And not even because they gave up a goal on the ensuing power play, the ensuing penalty they had to kill, but just because it stalls out the momentum that you had in that moment. And I think there was just a lot of those plays. Sam Harrison struggled with his rebound control, gave up a couple goals he normally doesn't give up. It was just a lot of little things added up. And as a result, like, I don't think people should come away angry. It's not like they failed to show up. It's not like they shrunk under the pressure. They just didn't play their sharpest game, and the Devils played a good enough game to come away with the win.
Yo, I love when Charlie echoes what we've been saying the entire show. Makes me feel really good. Charlie, how was the vibe in the press box at the game for you? Was it a good time?
It was cool. These games are always cool, but, one thing I'll say about being up in a press box that isn't open air, which, I mean, granted, it's significantly warmer than it is if you're out there. It was apparently very cold. You could tell just by walking through the ground floor level going downstairs to do the interviews that it's real cold out there. But you don't get as much of a sense of the crowd atmosphere as you do when you're in the arena at in a hockey arena, because there's nothing separating you really from the fans. It's just quieter, and it's not quiet outside because you can hear the echoes, you can hear, the rock bands or whatever that they had, but it's just different. And you do feel a little bit separated in comparison to what you're maybe used to on the whole. And Anyway, sorry. I got to find spots to do this. It's going to be where people are walking by sometimes. But anyway, it's just different. It seemed like the atmosphere, though, was really cool. It really did. It seemed like the people that were there had a good time. It was a lot of Devils fans, but there were certainly your fair share of Flyers fans. I hope everybody had fun. I hope all the Flyers fans that made the trek, or even Flyers fans that happened to be in the North Jersey area that didn't have to make that far of a trek but still went. Hope everybody had a good time. It seemed like a fun game. It just didn't play out the way the Flyers fans wanted it to.
Let's say with the press box, Charlie. So watching it from the press box, from an NFL stadium, was it harder tracking the play on the ice, or easier, or anything?
You're just further away. So, but that's the case for everyone. That's the case for everyone in the stands too. There's a reason why, it's cheap. It's more expensive to be further down. You can see better, and it's a smaller surface than a football field. So obviously you're hard pressed to see sometimes. Like, I used my binoculars a few times in play, and you could see obviously significantly better with binoculars. But yeah, it's tougher. It's not impossible. It's just tougher, especially when the puck gets in close and they're battling along the boards or in front of the net. You lose track of it, but that's just the nature of these games. It's more spectacle than game, to be honest.
Charlie, let's talk about Sam Ersson. Obviously getting some criticism here tonight, surprisingly, obviously. 34 saves off 39 shots. What'd you think of Sam tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't that great. I think I gave Ersson after the game the opportunity to point out the difficulties of playing outside, and he refused to take the bait. He more or less said, look, it's different, but I need to make these saves. I need to do a better job of rebound control. I'm not going to make an excuse. And do I think that the elements played a role? Sure, I absolutely do. And I say this because one thing that came up in a couple of the interviews with the skaters, Travis Sanheim in particular, I asked him if it was an intentional strategy to kind of shoot from everywhere. He said, yeah, because it's outdoors, because of the elements, because of the ice, you're going to get some weird bounces. So we came in with the goal of just shooting from everywhere and hoping you get some bounces. That goes both ways. You're going to get some weird bounces to your goalie as well. And I honestly suspect that's probably what played into the rebound issues, is just that it's a little bit tougher to know exactly, how the puck's going to come in at you because the ice isn't as normal as you're used to. I just think this is a really tough game for a goalie. Now, that said, Dawes did a much better job than Ersson in dealing with the same elements. So it's not as if the Devils didn't deserve this. Dawes did a much better job. Nico Dawes did a much better job of dealing with than Sam Ersson. However, I'm not taking anything away from this game in terms of burying Sam Ersson. I hope some of the commenters are not doing that. I obviously can't see that, but these are fun games, but these aren't the kind of games you want to evaluate, especially a goalie on, because they're so unique and different from a normal hockey.
Absolutely. We did mention that this kind of game happens in a bubble. You can't really use it for any kind of extrapolating facts. Was there anything else interesting that you learned in post-game, Charlie?
Not especially. Tortorella refused to put the blame on Ersson. He basically said that it was, uncharacteristic mistakes from the team, which I thought was interesting because if he wanted to, he certainly could have put the blame on Ersson. Ersson gives up 5 goals and quite a few of them were stoppable shots. Tortorella could have kind of thrown his goalie under the bus. He refused to do that. He more or less pinned it on the penalties. Travis Konechny was directly asked about his penalty, and you could tell that Konechny was ticked off about the fact that, he took penalties. You could tell he was ticked off himself. Obviously, maybe a little bit ticked off. He was directly asked about it, but he answered the questions regardless. No, I think these guys know on some level that basically that right now this is frustrating, but they're going to look back 5, 10, 20 years down the road and remember this game fondly because these are really cool experiences. In the here and now, though, they wanted to win. They knew this was a big game. They knew this was against a division rival who's chasing them in the standings. They really wanted to win. The one funny thing that I can say is that Jake Voracek, who's been hovering around this past week, he was at the game. He was downstairs. I was able to say hi to him. He gave me some shit for because it's been a while since I guess I've seen him in person. But he gave me some shit for shaving my beard and changing my haircut, which was pretty funny.
Amazing. What a guy. He rules.
That's awesome.
Outstanding.
Jake Voracek checking Charlie on his style.
I love it.
That's awesome. Charlie, for people at home who are watching tonight who may not understand the differences from playing outside, what could be the challenges of playing in the outdoors and as far as hockey goes?
Yeah, I mean, number one, it's just colder. Like it is chilly in these games, and it changes up, your equipment a little bit. It just changes up how the puck feels, and then the ice. The ice is the big one. This is a temporary arena. It's not an arena where, you're in a building like it's normal. It's always there. The ice is there pretty much for the entire season. This has been placed there, and it's going to be removed in a couple days once this is all done. So because of that, it's just the puck's going to bounce a little bit differently. The puck's going to sail a little bit differently. To my eyes, the pace was a bit slower. Like I actually thought one of the more impressive Flyers, especially over the first half of the game, was Nick Delorier. And I thought one of the reasons why he was probably one of the more impressive Flyers is that the pace was a little bit slower. He could actually more easily keep up than he could in a normal game when everyone's skating just, a touch faster than normal. This was a touch slower, and it allowed him to be more of the energy guy he was in October. It's just a little bit different of a game. I don't think it's dramatic. I also think, too, that because these guys, they say they don't want to be. They say they won't be caught up in the spectacle. I think they do. And John Tortorella even mentioned that after the game. He said, look, like these games often will devolve into pond hockey because these guys fall back into the habits they had when they were playing pond hockey. And I think that has an element of it too, where it just becomes a more mistake-prone game because it feels less like a game and more like a spectacle. So I think it's the elements, it's the ice, and then it's just also the overall feel of the game and how it feels special, and it just lends itself to more mistakes from both teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One other positive I want to talk about is Owen Tippett, 2 goals here from similar spots. But ever since the injury and then the All-Star break, he came back, and it seems like his confidence didn't dwindle at all, especially after all that.
No, he looks pretty much like the same guy, and they're going to need him. They're going to need him to make this playoff run. He's one of their most talented players. I tweeted this out during the game that it's nice that every time he has a game like this, I don't have to have 10 people I mentioned saying, oh, God, now he's going to ask for $8 million if he keeps this up. Like, they have him signed. People don't have to worry about that anymore. He's got his cap hit for the next 8 years. It doesn't matter if he has a 2-goal game or if he finishes with 38 goals versus 32 goals this season. Look, Owen Tippett's a really talented player. I think he's going to have a really strong finish of the season. It seemed like he was the only guy who really had a handle on how to play in this environment in the offensive zone. Like, he was picking his spots. Everybody else was just shooting kind of with their eyes closed and hoping to get a bounce. Owen Tippett was getting to dangerous areas and just letting the puck rip. The only other guy who was doing the same was Nick Seeler, which is hilarious. Gets his first goal of the season. But no, Tippett, look, he's a really good player. He gets fed by Travis Konechny for both goals. It wasn't enough for the Flyers, but I don't expect these to be anywhere near the final goals of the season for Owen Tippett. I expect him to be a major contributor the rest of the way for the team.
Charlie, he's using his own stick again, isn't he?
I cannot confirm that one way or the other, but probably. He said he was going to go back to his normal stick.
Why would you ever do such a thing? The Konechny stick was working beautifully. Stick with it, buddy.
I'm pretty sure he's fine with his own stick.
All right, so with that, Charlie, let's do your 3 stars of the night. We will start off with Charlie's star number 3.
Ooh, star number 3, I will go with one Owen Tippett. Best Flyer on the ice, obviously scores 2 goals, kept the Flyers in it for long stretches of this game. He's just an impactful player. He makes things happen when he's out there, and when he's feeling his shot, when he's picking corners rather than shooting high and wide like he was for long stretches this season. He's a really dangerous player, and it's going to be exciting over these next few years to see what he can become. Flyers obviously didn't get the win, but I will give Owen Tippett the 3rd star at the very least.
All right. With that, star number 2, Charlie?
Star number 2, I will actually go with one Nico Dawes. I thought, especially in the second period, I felt like he really held down the fort. Ends up making 45 saves on 48 shots. The Flyers, I think they finished with 24 shots in the second period. They really could have blown this game open. If Dawes plays the way Ersson plays, this game is finishing 8-5. And Dawes instead just did a much better job than Ersson of dealing with the elements, of dealing with the unique nature of the game, and really holding down the fort for the Devils when they struggled. So I'm giving number 2 to Nico Dawes.
All right. And with that, star number 1, Charlie.
Star number 1 will be the other Nico Hischier. 2 goals, set the tone early in the game with that breakaway goal. Look, he's their captain for a reason. He's a really good player, really good two-way center, the kind of the ideal 2C for an NHL contender. Hischier's a really good player. Obviously, he was the first overall pick in the Nolan Patrick draft, but he's a really, really good forward. He's missed some time this year. Look, the Devils are going to be a tough team to hold off. Now that Jack Hughes is healthy, they have him and Hischier back in the lineup, especially if they go out the deadline and make a couple adds. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if the Flyers can hold off this team, because the Devils came into this year with like legitimate Stanley Cup aspirations. The Flyers are kind of playing with house money. Going to be very interesting to see how this plays out between these two clubs the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Well, Charlie, before we let you go, obviously tonight they wanted to highlight the history that we have here as far as music in New Jersey. What was your favorite musical performance, if you had one?
Of this game? Or
a lot of performers, a lot of musicians.
Oh, well, I mean, I love the Gaslight Anthem, so I was very pumped. Granted, I couldn't hear much through the glass, but they played.
TV either, bud.
They played 3 of my favorite songs by them. So yeah, a big Gaslight Anthem guy. They got to play that goal song quite a few times. I will say that.
That was weird.
But no, I'm a big Gaslight Anthem fan, so it was fun to see them, even if it was through the glass.
Awesome. Anything else for our dear friend Charlie?
Nah, Charlie, go home.
Yeah, safe travels, Charlie. Obviously, it's cold. You got to come all the way back from North Jersey. So thank you again, Charlie. We'll see you this week.
All right. Bye, gang.
Bye.
See you later. That was Charlie O'Connor, the #1 hockey writer here in Philadelphia.
Best in the biz.
He enjoyed the Gaslight.
He's a music guy. I knew he liked the Gaslight Anthem. I thought they were good, but they weren't good today. No offense.
Well, Gertie liked the
didn't
Jonas
sound
Brothers, so
very
there
good.
you go.
Yeah. I mean, the Jonas Brothers sounded good. They're not really my cup of tea, but like they sounded good. I could not hear the Gaslight Anthem on the television. So
yes, they are still popular. Believe it or not,
God bless.
They still are really popular. All right, well, listen. This one sucked, right?
Stunk.
It's unfortunately though, what's going to be a tough week, because obviously Wednesday it's going to be interesting because you get to see hopefully Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks. But then after that, Kel, you got the Rangers on Saturday.
That's a big game.
And then the Penguins on Sunday.
That's another one.
So it's going to be
a big week.
It's going to be important for the Flyers to turn this around.
Yes.
You should be able to get the business done against the Blackhawks. Should. That's the key word. Should.
You should, yeah.
And then that will gear you up against the Rangers and Penguins. We're obviously all scared about the Rangers because it just hasn't been fun against the Rangers in like 4 or 5 years.
No, it's been real not fun. Is that a home game?
That one is going to be at the Wells Fargo Center.
Oh,
so
boy.
It's going to be Madison Square Garden South.
Yeah, I really bothers me when that happens, but it happens every time.
But I mean, I hope that
If you're going to that game, fam, I need you to be so loud.
I need you
Please.
to paint yourself in orange and black,
So
like
loud.
literally. Like that's really what we need. Kelly, anything else you got here? We got here for?
Nah, I think we've said enough about this stinky, crappy game.
This was definitely rough, and hopefully the next time, of course, we will be able to celebrate a win. And before we let you guys go, make sure you guys are becoming diehards. Great stuff. Charlie always puts articles on there as well. You also can get discounts on merch as well. Right now, we have the Drysdale merch as well. Dry Guy, the Fly Guy. He wants to be here. Obviously, you guys see Bill in the Mad Russian hoodie, which is all still on the website. So make sure you guys check that all out. And of course, as a reminder here, again, ladies and gentlemen, that PHLY Flyers post-game podcast is sponsored by Mortgage CS. Let me grab my. So sorry, guys. Gotta give kudos to Bill here. Of course, Mortgage CS is your sponsor for PHLY Flyers. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. These advertisements are not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 146766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information. We will see you guys next week here. We will be back. Bill will be back. Charlie will be back as well. We have some more post-game shows, some more daily podcasts. For Charlie O'Connor, we got Kelly Hinkle. I am JP Zapata, and we are telling you guys, let's go Flyers. We'll be back next week. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.